The Indian Institutes of Technology, or the IITs, have long been known for producing the cream of the country's engineers. In a move to improve diversity in the students and faculty of these premier institutes, the NDA government in 2019 decided to implement reservations for the economically weaker sections, or the EWS category. The Ministry of Education brought out a notification in 2019 asking all centrally run institutions to implement reservations in student admissions as well as in direct recruitment of faculty. This meant that the IITs, which until then had reservations of faculty at entry level, had to implement reservations for all categories across the assistant professor, associate professor, and the professor levels. The IITs were not too happy with this decision.
Just for the benefit of the viewers, this is a committee that was set up by the Ministry of Education in April last year to suggest ways of implementing reservation in faculty positions more effectively. And once the recommendations of this committee came out into the public domain, there was a lot of outrage because this committee essentially said that, as far as reservation as faculty is concerned, we feel that the IIT should be exempt and that we should maintain status quo. That is, that we should continue to reserve positions at the entry level and not implement reservation at the associate professor or professor level. The latest development is that the National Commission for Backward Classes has recently written, rather it wrote to the ministry this month, acting on a complaint that it had received from an organization called the Technical Universities Teachers Association. Acting on that complaint, it has asked the ministry to inquire why the committee made a recommendation outside of its remit and submit a report within 15 days of the receipt of the letter. The first option is that the IITs have said that we don't provide reservation, and we will work on the pool of candidates with research degree and excellent academic record. We will work on that pool, try and expand that pool so that we have enough candidates to recruit from. So the IITs often say that there aren't enough qualified candidates from the reserved category, which is why these positions remain vacant for too long. And given that we are expected to compete with institutions of world-class standing, we have to ensure that our faculty-student ratio is healthy, and we can't afford to keep positions vacant for too long. So they say that, instead of providing reservation, we will try and increase diversity through outreach programs, work on this pool of candidates. And at the same time, if you can, and when they say that we do not want to provide reservation, it has offered this solution to the government that add us to the list of institutions, research institutions of national strategic importance under the CI Act of 2019, which then, by law will not be obligated to offer reservation faculty. So that's option one. Option two is basically essentially status quo, that they've said that, let us continue offering reservation at the entry level, which is at the assistant professor level. We don't extend it to associate and professor level. And that again, we will probably come up with a preparatory program to ensure that more candidates from the reserved categories can pursue a PhD, and then over a period of time we will have a decent pool of qualified candidates. This is what the IITs claim, that there aren't enough qualified candidates, and we will try and work on that pool itself. If I'm not wrong, about 8 or 9 of them under the Central Education Institutions Act, which is Reservations in Teachers Cadre 2019. This is mentioned, if I'm not wrong, in Schedule 4 of this Act. And there is the Tata Institution of fundamental research, which is part of this list of exempted institutions. There's the National Brain Research Center, which is part of this list of exempted institutions. There's also the Homi Bhabha National Institute, which is part of this list. So these are just some of them which do not offer, which do not reserve faculty posts. This is something which is often raised in the parliament. There are many parliament questions which kind of give constant updates on the current status of SC/ST OBC reservation in faculty posts. So there is this question which is asked in 2018, and data from that Parliament, the data from that answer to a Parliament question states that at that point in 2018, there were about 8,000 faculty posts across all 23 IITs, of which 6,000 odd posts were filled, as in there were faculty, there were teachers in those positions, and the remaining were vacant. Of the 6,000 odd filled faculty posts, there were hardly any SC/ST teachers. For instance, if I'm not wrong, SC/ST teachers I think were roughly about 20, and the scheduled caste teachers were about roughly about 150. So roughly 20 teachers, 20 SC teachers across all 23 IITs, and about 150 SC teachers across all 23 IITs, which of course is pretty embarrassing.